He's in studio. I am not there. I am still in Las Vegas, but we're kind of together in spirit. How you doing, Chael?
Never better. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, and it's a pleasure to speak with you as always, but during a fight week especially. Always good to talk to you when you're getting ready to step into the cage.
I appreciate it, man. And you know what? I think it's good we're going on Monday because I get crankier as the week goes on. When that weigh-in is coming up on Friday and you start going into calorie deprivation and then you got the stress of the match, it's probably good we're visiting today.
No, I would rather have a happy Chael than a cranky Chael.
Well, thank you.
I mean, both of them are good, but happy Chael is easier to have a discussion with.
The word that drives this business forward is interesting. This fight with Conor and Floyd is interesting, and I do worry that the promoters aren't telling the real story. I listened to the conference call, and I watched all three of them dance around the reality here, and they need to just come out and tell the fans what it is. The entire integrity of the sport of boxing is on the line. You've got the greatest that your sport has ever produced, according to you, according to the writers and the fans and the trainers and the fellow athletes. Floyd Mayweather is the greatest boxer that sport has ever produced. So this is either a real sport or it's not. And it's not as simple as, well, of course it's a real sport. Not according to high schools in this country, because not one of them can test boxing. Not according to the NCAA, the most coveted and respected amateur body in this country. They don't believe it's a real sport, and they won't contest it. The only thing that boxing has keeping it alive is the International Olympic Committee. That is the only governing body with respect and integrity that still says this is a sport. Other than that, it's all but dead. That is what is on the line here, and the storyline is no more simple than that. If Conor McGregor can get out of the first round, boxing is not a real sport.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go so far as to say that.
Then tell me where I'm wrong, Brett. I mean, this one actually gets me hot, and I'll tell you where I come from on this, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I do want to make this point. I'm an amateur wrestler. I come from an amateur wrestling background. You bring me any athlete you want, and I don't give a goddamn how big he is or how much success he had in his own field. You could bring over LeBron, Tiger, you could bring over Floyd, you can bring in anybody you want. If he's never wrestled before, our best wrestler, David Taylor, will take him out in 30 seconds. And the only reason I put a 30-second time limit on there is in case David Taylor has to stop to tie his shoe. That is going to be an 8 to 12 to 13-second match. So if you're telling me I can bring somebody into your sport, put him against the best you've ever produced, and this guy's never done it before, but he's a really good athlete, and he had a high level of success in a totally different sport, then your sport's fake.
Yeah, I guess where you lost me was the first round, because it's not always easy to finish a guy in the first round. That's almost like saying if I were to play Kevin Durant or LeBron James in basketball, if he doesn't beat me 21-0, then the basketball is a joke because I just happened to get lucky and bank a shot off from like 10 feet behind the three-point line. You know what I mean? So if he's able to get out of the first round, okay. But if the fight looks even slightly competitive at any moment in time, well, then I understand the point that you're making.
I think that the way you said it is a little more fair. Perhaps I was a little bit dramatic with putting it in the first round, but I was trying to illustrate.
Dramatic is your thing.
But more than saying that, hey, it has to be done in less than 3 minutes, which is what would signify a first round. More than that, what I am saying the same thing you are. That look, if this is competitive ball, and you'll hear people come out and they'll say, "Well, Conor's got a puncher's chance." It's like, okay, I'm kind of sick of hearing this puncher's chance business because what data are you supporting that theory with? In MMA, yes, we see people get caught. In boxing, yes, we've seen people get caught, but you got to go back a decade, maybe even 15 years to supply me with a piece of evidence where that actually happened. In boxing, there isn't the same setups. There isn't the same trickery. You have two hands that can do two things, and you can only hit two parts of the body. The body, meaning the chest or the stomach, and the head. That's it. You can't really hang your hat on the argument of somebody can get caught. It just, again, over our lifetimes, Brett, yes, we've seen it. We've seen it more than once. But boy, it's a decade since the last time we saw a guy get upset because he got caught. That's not a real thing. It's not real enough that should be part of the dialogue here. People don't get caught in punchers' chances in boxing. They just don't.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about something that, yes, is theoretically possible, but the chances of it happening are so infinitely small that you can't just continue to say it over and over and over again, because then you're almost putting more weight on it than, maybe the 0.5% chance that it actually is a reality. One thing I wanted to ask you from Conor's side is, what do you think he's hoping to get out of this? Obviously, the pay is number one. It's fantastic. And then, maybe lightning strikes in what we're talking about, that 0.5% chance that he lands the perfect shot when Floyd gets too over aggressive. Maybe at 40 years old, he can't take the punch as well. He goes down. Of course, that's out there as well. But in reality, you're entering a fight where you're going to do your best, but you're probably going to lose. And I think even Conor in his head, as much as he's saying, I could win this, I'm going to go out, I'm going to do my best. But even he would say, yes, of course, the odds are greatly stacked against me. So as someone who understands promotion as well as you do and the fight game as well as you do, what else is he hoping to get out of this, I guess? If he's going to get a huge paycheck, he's probably going to get a loss. What are your other goals when you approach this fight?
Well, hey, I think you said it well. He's going to go out there and do his best. He's going to train hard for this. He has been training hard for this. He's spending the money. He's bringing in the right guys. He's got his team and his coaches around him. He's going to take this as serious as he can and go out and do it. Now, the fight's about 2 months away. There's just not a lot of gap that you can close in any sport inside of 2 months. That's just not a very long time. That's plenty of time to get in shape. But that's about all you can do. Your skills are kind of your skills. So, yes, you are right. Is this a cash grab? You bet it is. That's why he said no to $15 million. That's why he said no to $25 million. That's why he said no to $75 million. This is about the money. But Conor is a competitor, and Conor is a winner. And Conor's got an ego, too, and he's going to go out there and he's going to do the best he can. He's not going to curl up and lay down. I really do believe that. I think that Floyd's skills and Floyd's experience might force Conor into a ball, but Conor's not going to go out and give up. I think he is going to go out with whatever game plan he has and whatever skills he has, and he's going to go out and implement it. It is surprising. I want to go back to this because I was an amateur boxer, and I had aspirations of being on the 2000 Olympic team for amateur boxers. I mean, I really do care about the sport, and I understand it on a little bit different level, but it never has ceased to surprise me how many people disrespect it as a sport. I mean, I will hear people come out. I guess here's my point, Brett. As a guy that's so close to the tree, sometimes I can't always see the forest. That's a reality. As a guy that's competed in boxing and done it since he was a teenager, it does surprise me how little people know about it. I will hear pundits, sports pundits, who I respect, who make a lot of money, who have a big presence and a big audience, come out, Brett, and they'll say things about, well, Conor's so much bigger. You're going, guys, fair enough, he's bigger. I mean, they're going to get on the scale 24 hours before the fight at the exact same thing, but fine. Conor's going to be bigger. Where is your evidence that a bigger guy wins a fight? Because Muhammad Ali, who they say is the greatest of all time, was 198 pounds. Mike Tyson, who I believe is the true greatest heavyweight of all time, in his prime he was 220 pounds. Neither Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson ever fought a guy that they weren't smaller than, ever. You can go back and check their records. That's a historical fact. So this whole size advantage thing, man, that got made up by some guy whose kid got his ass kicked on the playground, and when he had to show up to the job site the next day and explain it to his buddies, he goes, well, yeah, Junior lost, but the kid was bigger. That's not a real thing. It's a size disadvantage. You always want to be a little bit smaller than your opponent, a little bit faster. Your energy just naturally is going to last a little bit longer because you're not carrying that same weight around. I just hear guys talk about boxing that have no idea what they're talking about, and it stuns me that after all of this time, this is still such a disrespected sport and misunderstood sport.
Yeah, well, Floyd must have agreed with you because it seems like, at least according to everybody who's spoken about this, that he didn't mind facing Conor McGregor 154 pounds. I did think that he was probably going to have him cut down a little bit, but that was not the case. The fight is 154 pounds. Let me ask you the question that's on everybody's minds when it comes to Conor McGregor. A, does he come back to the sport of the UFC? B, if and when he does, what is his price tag? What are his demands to the UFC? And C, is he still as motivated as he was prior to this $100 million payday against Floyd Mayweather?
Oscar De La Hoya said that a rich man can't fight. And that has always been the case. Sugar Ray Leonard even said, listen, it's very hard to wake up in silk pajamas and put your boots on and go outside at 5 a.m. and run in the rain. That is a reality. And the one guy that has stayed focused and stayed hungry throughout the history of fight, the one guy is Floyd Mayweather. But I do believe that Oscar's statement is true and that guys largely fight because they have to. So to your point of will Conor see some motivation go away, I think so. Will he return to MMA? I don't know that I'm bullish on that either way. I tend to think that he will, but I don't know. And as far as his price tag, I mean, he's been bringing in with points on the back end, but $10 million for his last 4 fights. One of them was 9.6. Jose Aldo was 9.8, and he passed up 10 on his last fight against Eddie. I think he ended up at 10-2 or 10-4. So, $10 million. And to think that he could go much higher than that is a little bit maybe unrealistic in MMA. However, they have an analytical department, and if they can prove that he swung the numbers and that he's going to drive that, they will let him participate in it. I don't know if he'll come back. I mean, this is a guy that overspends. Even if he brings in what I personally estimate to be about $115 million, the way the taxes work and the split works and trainers and coaches and managers, he's going to walk away with about $50 million. Why most people would think I could never get to the bottom of that money, this is a guy that does not understand finances. He overspends. Conor McGregor could blow through $50 million. And if he can stack those bricks a little bit higher at a young age of 27 years old, even if it is at 10 a pop instead of 115 a pop, I think he runs out there and grabs it a couple more times.
Well, last question on this, and then we'll move on to a couple other topics. But based on what you just said, that you think that maybe, yes, it's just natural, it's almost inevitable that he loses some motivation. Isn't that enough of a reason for a guy like me to just say that's why I don't like the fight? Because Conor McGregor is a guy who's 28. I do believe he's shown the potential to be called one of the greatest fighters right now, one of the best pound-for-pound fighters right now. I think he's got a lot of tests in front of him, and if he is even slightly less motivated to take on those tests in his own sport because of this fight, am I not justified in saying, well, that alone right there is why I don't want this fight to happen?
Yeah. No, it's a fair point. And if you're talking as a purist, and I know largely you are a purist, and so am I, and I think that is fair. But motivation's a really tough thing, and you can't really control it. I've heard coaches come out and tell kids, you have to want it, you have to have desire. But the truth is, I wish coaches wouldn't say that, because you can't control desire. You can't control motivation. It's a naturally occurring thing, and sometimes you've got it and sometimes you don't. I can tell you as an athlete, I haven't been motivated in over a decade. I've had to operate purely on discipline. Okay, this is when practice is, this is what I need to do to go out and get good results. It's just not something you can manufacture. And I think that Conor, a guy that was on welfare 3 years ago, he was on welfare. He was a plumber. His father's a plumber. My father was a plumber, so I kind of get it a little bit. And one day he just stayed in bed and said, I'm not going back to the job site. I'm going to go pursue something else. And he made it. And, I think that's I say this as a big compliment to Conor. It's a very compelling success story. Sylvester Stallone recently came out and said, this is the real life Rocky. And in many ways, he is. But how long can you run that? And let's not forget, Brett, he's at the toughest weight class in the sport. There's 10 John Joneses at 155 pounds. I fight at 205 pounds. I don't have to deal with anything like the top 10 guys at 155. They are so stinking good. And I'll remind you, just to make that point, and I realize that I'm now talking about featherweight, but Conor was champ at featherweight too. Anthony Pettis was on the Wheaties box 3 years ago. He's now ranked number 14 in the world. That's not a commentary on Pettis. It's a compliment to the division. It's that hard of a division. So if Conor comes back, he is going to fight one of the baddest dudes in the world, because that's what that division produces. And he's going to have to do it for the title, 5 rounds on top of the bill. It's going to be a really hard fight. And to think that he's going to come back and not have that motivation and the same success is very realistic. That's very realistic as students of sport. And to realize also, let's not forget, all he's working on right now is boxing, and that's all he's been working on since November of last year. That's a significant break to take